Hi everyone, Ryan here from Fight Game Analysis, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about Andre Ward and Caleb Plant. But before we jump into that, if you've been enjoying the content, please go ahead and click on the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Alright, so in recent days, we've seen some things come out about Andre Ward helping out Caleb Plant going into his fight with Canelo. And there's been a whole lot of buzz on the internet. What does it mean, this, that, and the other thing? And Andre Ward has come out and addressed some of it. Right? And he said, hey, Caleb Plant's my brother in the game. I just want to help him out. Made a big point to emphasize how I can only do so much. I'm just kind of there to do whatever it is, playing my small part. Caleb Plant has been working with his team for a very long time. He's a very skilled fighter. I'm just coming in on the back end to do my little part and do what I can. I totally understand that. And a lot of people may be asking themselves, what is it that Andre Ward can even offer? What is it that Andre Ward can do at this point to help Caleb Plant going into this fight with Canelo? And why exactly is he doing it? First of all, I got to take him at his word. The man says he just wants to help Caleb Plant out. They have a relationship. It's his brother in the game. Wants to offer some advice to the man. Doesn't need to be anything more than that. Doesn't need to be a bigger issue than that by all. Just wants to go in there. Andre Ward is a student of the game, been around for a very long time. Now, the other part of the question is, can Andre Ward offer Caleb Plant anything? Well, first of all, I think we have to look at who Andre Ward is. And I'll be the first to admit, man, I still think that Andre Ward doesn't get enough credit for how skilled he was when he was fighting. That man was incredibly skilled. Went to the Olympics and won a gold medal, comes out as a pro and dominates. I think, he didn't have the most exciting style for a lot of people. A lot of people really couldn't. They either really couldn't or chose not to appreciate a lot of the subtleties and the things that he did in the ring. Maybe his promotion could have done a better job. I'm not sure exactly what it was. But that man's skills were at the absolute highest level. Particularly that fight with Kovalev should have been much bigger. But when he went into that fight with Kovalev, either one, the first one or the second one, but I think the first one was more impressive because we didn't exactly know what to expect. But when he went into that first fight and you saw the things that he was able to do, Kovalev being this naturally bigger, stronger man, hugely feared puncher, going out there and just smoking guys and dominating them. Andre Ward went out there and boxed him. And he did it in a way that a lot of people did not think you could do it. A lot of people who don't really understand the subtleties of the sweet science or fighting in general think that you got to run away from a power. They think that if a guy's got this huge punch, you got to move away from him. You got to try to be perfect and outbox him for 12 rounds. It's like, good luck with that. Good luck with that. I mean, who are you? Pernell Whitaker could do that. There's a few guys who can do it. But that's really, in my opinion, man, it's like, your fight, you have to be perfect because at any moment during what you're doing, if you slip up, you have a lack of focus, the other guy just sets things up right and just gets it, he's going to be able to land that shot and you're going to get hurt. Because you're allowing him to do what he wants to do, which is typically going to be to come forward, it's going to be on that front foot, it's going to be able to get his shots off. Now, if you approach that the other way, which is the way that Andre Ward approached it going into that fight with Kovalev, where you go to the power, you smother it, you come inside of him, you don't allow him to get it off that way. Instead of trying to slip and use angles and be slick and move around all the time. If you come to him and you're right in his face and you don't allow him to get that power off, it's incredibly different. Then if you all of a sudden have a lapse in focus, something happens, he doesn't have nearly the opportunity to get his shots off when you're that close to him versus when you're on the outside, constantly trying to be slick. People just really didn't appreciate the masterclass that he brought to the table when he went in there and fought Kovalev. So I touch on all that history to say, absolutely, Andre Ward has a lot to offer anybody. When Andre Ward talks boxing, when he sits in there and talks technique, man, people should be quiet and listen. He's incredibly high boxing IQ, gets his point across well. He's not one of these guys who could go out there and do it, but then he can't teach. He actually went out there and did it, and he understands it well enough to be able to teach it to others. So he communicates his points very well. I absolutely think that he could go in there and teach a lot to Caleb Plant. What he was saying was also true. He's only been working this, talking to him, met with him, I don't know, a couple times, a bunch of times, whatever it is, but very short when you look at the overall span of Caleb Plant's career. The man is a very well-developed, polished fighter. He's been working with his team for a very long time. You go in there, there's only so much that he's going to be able to pick up new in a short amount of time, but I don't think that's what him and Andre Ward are working on. I think it's just a few little things here and there, maybe a slightly different way to look at something, maybe something that he saw something that Andre Ward saw when he was sitting ringside, when he was studying Canelo, and just a little piece of advice that he can offer. Hey, I think, Canelo has a tendency to do this. You could exploit it by this. Here's where you're strong. Here's where I think he has a weakness. It's not really going to be something huge. It's just going to be something small. But I do think it can make a difference. Does that mean that Caleb Plant's going to win the fight? Man, this isn't my analysis or prediction video. I will be making one of those. I'm not jumping out and just saying that. But I am saying that I think Andre Ward absolutely has something to offer. He's incredibly high boxing IQ, and he can definitely help anybody when it comes to what's going on inside that ring. So let me know what you guys think. Is there something that he can offer Caleb Plant, or is it all kind of smoke and mirrors and it doesn't really matter anyways, and it's already a done deal for Plant? Let me know what you guys think.